The night belongs to truth. You have spent so many days pretending, wearing the mask that others expect to see, smiling when your heart feels heavy, speaking words that sound right but taste hollow in your mouth. The daylight hours demand performance, and you have learned to dance to their rhythm with practiced grace. But now the sun has set. The world has grown quiet. The expectations of others cannot reach you here in this gentle darkness. This is the hour when truth whispers its secrets to those brave enough to listen. This is when the real you, the one you've been hiding even from yourself, can finally breathe. You feel it, don't you? That stirring in your chest, that sense that something important waits just beyond the edge of your awareness, something you've been seeking without knowing what you seek. Something that has been calling to you through dreams you barely remember, and moments of unexpected sadness that arrive without invitation. Tonight is different. Tonight, you don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to be strong or wise or put together. You don't have to have answers. You can simply be here, in this moment, exactly as you are. Tired, searching, human, beautiful in your imperfection. The night air carries stories of everyone who has ever felt lost, every person who has ever wondered if they matter, every soul who has ever questioned whether they are enough. You're not alone in your darkness. You're part of an ancient fellowship of seekers, wanderers and wounded healers who have learned that sometimes you must descend before you can rise. There is a place inside you that remembers peace. A part of your soul that knows you are more than your mistakes, more than your fears, more than the critical voice that follows you through your days. This place has been waiting for you to return. It has been sending signals through your intuition, your dreams, your moments of unexpected beauty. It has been preparing for this homecoming. You have been taught to look outside yourself for salvation, to seek approval from others, achievement from the world, love from those who may not even understand what love truly means. But the deepest healing comes from within. It comes from befriending the parts of yourself you have been taught to reject. It comes from listening to the wisdom that speaks in whispers rather than shouts. Your pain is not your enemy. Your sadness is not a weakness. Your confusion is not a failing. These are the sacred messengers that have come to guide you toward wholeness. They are the uninvited guests at the door of your consciousness, carrying gifts you do not yet recognize. They ask only to be acknowledged, to be seen, to be allowed their place at the table of your awareness. The child you once were still lives within you, that bright, curious, unguarded being who believed in magic and spoke truth without fear. That child knew something you have forgotten. They knew they were worthy of love simply for existing. They knew wonder was more important than worry. They knew how to rest without guilt, how to play without purpose, how to trust without proof. Somewhere along the way, the world taught you to abandon that child. To grow up meant to grow hard. To be adult meant to be afraid. To be responsible meant to carry burdens that were never truly yours to bear. You learned to silence the voice that once sang freely, to dim the light that once shone without apology. But children do not disappear. They wait in the depths of your being, in the place where dreams are born and memories are kept. They wait with infinite patience for you to remember them, to welcome them back, to listen to their forgotten wisdom. They have been trying to reach you through your longing for simpler times, your love of beautiful things, your moments of unexpected joy. The night offers you permission to remember, to let down your guard, to stop performing strength and allow yourself to feel. In darkness, you do not need to maintain the illusion of having everything figured out. You can admit that you are tired. You can acknowledge that you have been lost. You can confess that you have been pretending to be someone you are not. This confession is not defeat. It is the beginning of return. It is the first step toward reclaiming the parts of yourself you left behind in the pursuit of becoming acceptable to others. Every mask you remove brings you closer to the truth of who you are. Every pretense you release makes room for authenticity to emerge. You carry within you a shadow, not evil, but simply unacknowledged. The parts of yourself you have been taught to hide or deny. Your anger when you were told to be sweet. Your needs when you were taught to be selfless. Your boundaries when you were expected to be available to everyone. Your darkness when you were required to be light. This shadow has been following you, growing stronger with each denial. It appears in your dreams as the figures you fear most. It shows up in your projections, the qualities you despise in others but refuse to see in yourself. It manifests in your slip of tongue, your unexpected reactions, your patterns of self-sabotage. Not because it wants to harm you, but because it wants to be integrated. The shadow holds your rejected power, your authentic voice, your capacity for healthy selfishness, your right to take up space, your permission to be imperfect. These are not qualities to be ashamed of, but aspects of your humanity to be reclaimed and integrated with consciousness and wisdom. In the gentle darkness of this moment, you can begin to turn toward what you have been running from. You can offer compassion to the parts of yourself you have judged most harshly. You can extend forgiveness to the person you were when you didn't know better. You can make space for all of who you are, not just the parts deemed acceptable by others. Your dreams have been trying to show you the way. Those strange symbolic narratives that play out while you sleep are not random firing of neurons, but messages from the deeper layers of your psyche. They speak in the language of symbol and metaphor, showing you truths that your conscious mind might resist. They reveal what you need to heal, what you need to integrate, what you need to remember. Pay attention to the recurring themes, the houses with hidden rooms, the journeys to unknown places, the people from your past who appear with important messages, the animals that represent instinctual wisdom, the disasters that reveal what truly matters. These are not just dreams, but glimpses into the landscape of your soul, maps for the journey toward wholeness. The deep waters of your unconscious hold treasures and terrors in equal measure. What you resist exploring remains in control of your life from beneath the surface of awareness. What you bring into consciousness through courage and compassion becomes a source of wisdom and strength. The monsters in your depths, when faced with love, often transform into allies. You have spent so much energy trying to be good that you forgot how to be real. You have worked so hard to avoid making mistakes that you stopped taking risks worth making. You have been so careful not to hurt anyone that you ended up hurting yourself. This is the way of the world, but it is not the way of healing. Healing requires honesty. It demands that you stop pretending your pain doesn't exist. Your needs don't matter. Your truth doesn't deserve to be spoken. It asks you to show up as you are, not as you think you should be. It invites you to love yourself with the same tenderness you offer to others, to speak to yourself with the same kindness you extend to friends. The inner critic that has been your constant companion is not your voice of wisdom, but an internalized collection of every harsh word ever spoken to you, every criticism that cut deep, every expectation that felt impossible to meet, every message that you were not enough, not right, not acceptable as you are. This voice pretends to protect you by keeping you small, but it only imprisons the very freedom it claims to guard. You can learn to recognize this voice as separate from your true self. You can thank it for trying to keep you safe and gently set boundaries around its influence. You can cultivate a new inner voice, one that speaks with compassion, encouragement, and truth. One that sees your potential rather than fixating on your flaws, one that believes in your capacity to grow, heal, and transform. The path of healing is not linear. There will be days when you feel strong and clear, when your direction seems obvious and your progress measurable. There will be other days when you feel lost again, when old patterns resurface, when you question everything you thought you knew about yourself. Both experiences are part of the journey. Neither defines your worth or determines your destination. Transformation happens in spirals, not straight lines. You will revisit the same themes, the same wounds, the same questions at deeper levels of understanding. What once seemed like regression will reveal itself as integration. What felt like failure will show itself as necessary preparation. What appeared to be an ending will prove to be a new beginning. The seasons of your inner life follow their own rhythm. There are times for growth and times for rest. Times for action and times for reflection. Times for reaching outward and times for turning inward. Honoring these natural cycles, rather than forcing yourself to be constantly productive or positive, allows for authentic healing to unfold. Winter comes to the soul as surely as it comes to the earth. The darkest months are not punishment but preparation. They are the time when roots grow deeper, when seeds rest in fertile darkness, when the life force gathers strength for eventual blooming. Your difficult seasons serve the same purpose. They are not evidence of failure, but proof that life continues its work even when growth is not visible. In your personal winter, you learn to find warmth in small things. a cup of tea held between cold hands, a moment of unexpected beauty, a memory that brings comfort rather than pain, a breath that comes easier than expected. These tiny lights in the darkness are not insignificant. They are the way hope maintains itself when hope seems impossible. Spring always returns. It returns to the earth and it returns to the soul. The buds that seemed dead begin to swell with possibility. The ground that appeared barren reveals its hidden preparations. What looked like ending shows itself to have been beginning in disguise. Your capacity for renewal is greater than your capacity for damage. Your potential for healing surpasses your history of hurt. You are more resilient than you know. You have survived everything that has tried to break you. You have found ways to continue when continuing seemed impossible. You have discovered strength in places you didn't know strength could exist. You have been your own hero more times than you have acknowledged. You have been more brave than you have given yourself credit for being. The wounded healer is an ancient archetype, a pattern that appears across cultures and centuries. It recognizes that our deepest wounds, when consciously engaged and carefully tended, become our greatest sources of wisdom and compassion. What breaks us open can also break us through. What brings us to our knees can teach us how to truly stand. Your pain has been a teacher, though not always a kind one. It has shown you what you value by threatening to take it away. It has revealed your strength by demanding more than you thought you could give. It has demonstrated your capacity for survival by requiring you to endure what felt unendurable. It has been preparing you for something you could not yet imagine. The hero's journey is not about conquering external dragons, but befriending internal ones. It is not about proving your worth through achievement, but discovering your inherent value through acceptance. It is not about becoming someone different, but becoming more authentically who you already are beneath all the conditioning and expectations. Every fairy tale knows this secret. The princess locked in the tower must rescue herself. The treasure is hidden in the place the hero least wants to look. The magic words that break the spell are the truths the character has been afraid to speak. The happily ever after begins when the protagonist stops trying to be perfect and starts choosing to be real. You have been searching for yourself in all the wrong places, in the approval of others, the achievement of goals, the acquisition of things, the perfect circumstances that never quite arrive. But you cannot find yourself outside yourself. You cannot become whole by adding more to your life. You can only become whole by subtracting what is not truly you. The process of discovering who you are requires the courage to disappoint others, to say no when yes is expected, to choose authenticity over approval, to honour your own needs instead of constantly sacrificing them for the comfort of others. This is not selfishness, but self-respect. This is not cruelty, but kindness to your own soul. Boundaries are not walls built to keep others out, but bridges built to keep yourself in relationship with your own truth. They are the loving limits that allow you to show up fully rather than giving pieces of yourself until nothing remains. They are the sacred containers that hold your energy so you can use it for what truly matters rather than scattering it to meet every demand. Learning to set boundaries feels uncomfortable at first because you have been trained to believe that your worth depends on your availability to others. You have been taught that saying no is selfish, that having needs is burden, that taking care of yourself is somehow wrong. These teachings serve those who benefited from your self-neglect, but they do not serve your healing. Your needs are not inconvenient facts to be minimized, but important information to be honored. Your feelings are not problems to be solved, but messages to be received. Your intuition is not unreliable guidance to be doubted, but ancient wisdom to be trusted. You have been taught to question yourself so much that you have forgotten how to listen to yourself. The still, small voice within you has never stopped speaking. It whispers through your body's responses to different people and situations. It speaks through your dreams and your daydreams. It communicates through what energizes you and what drains you. It reveals itself in what you admire in others and what triggers your strongest reactions. It has been trying to guide you home to yourself all along. Coming home to yourself is not a destination but a practice. It is the daily choice to turn toward your own experience with curiosity rather than judgment. It is the commitment to treat yourself with the same respect you offer to good friends. It is the willingness to prioritize your own healing not because you are more important than others, but because you cannot truly serve from an empty well. Self-compassion is not self-indulgence, but the foundation of all genuine compassion. You cannot give what you do not possess. You cannot offer authentic love to others if you withhold it from yourself. You cannot help others heal if you refuse to tend your own wounds. The kindness you show yourself becomes the kindness you can genuinely extend to the world. The inner child you have neglected has been waiting with infinite patience for your return. They have been holding your joy, your wonder, your capacity for spontaneous delight. They remember what it feels like to be fully alive, fully present, fully yourself without apology. They have been keeping these gifts safe until you are ready to reclaim them. Healing the relationship with your inner child is not about becoming childish, but about integrating childlike qualities that serve your wholeness. Curiosity without cynicism, creativity without criticism, trust without naivety, playfulness without irresponsibility. These qualities have been waiting to enrich your adult life, to bring lightness to your seriousness, to add colour to your carefully controlled world. The child within you knows how to receive love without earning it. They understand that rest is not laziness, but restoration. They believe that dreams are meant to be pursued, not just admired from afar. They trust that the universe is fundamentally friendly, that help comes when needed, that everything is connected in ways beyond understanding. Your adult self has learned important things about survival, responsibility, and navigating complex realities. But you have also learned fears that are not yours, limitations that are not real, rules that do not serve life. The integration of your inner child with your adult wisdom creates a wholeness that is both practical and magical, both grounded and free. You have been carrying wounds that do not belong to you. Generational pain passed down through family lines, cultural trauma embedded in collective consciousness, inherited beliefs about worth, love, and possibility that were never your truth to begin with. Part of your healing journey involves learning to distinguish between what is yours to heal and what is yours to release. The ancestors who came before you did the best they could with the awareness and resources available to them. Their limitations do not define your possibilities. Their fears do not have to become your fears. Their unfulfilled dreams do not create obligations for your life. You can honor their struggles while choosing a different path. You can break cycles while maintaining love. Forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior or pretending hurt never happened. It is about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying resentment that only poisons your own well-being. It is about choosing to release the past hold on your present moment. It is about reclaiming the energy you have been spending on keeping old wounds alive. Sometimes forgiveness begins with forgiving yourself for the mistakes you made when you knew better, for the times you betrayed your own truth to keep peace, for the ways you abandoned yourself in the hope of being loved, for all the moments you chose fear over courage, conformity over authenticity, silence over speaking your truth. You've been harder on yourself than you would ever be on another person facing the same struggles. You have held yourself to standards of perfection that are impossible and unkind. You have punished yourself for being human, for making mistakes, for not knowing what you could only learn through experience. This harsh internal relationship has been more damaging than any external criticism. The relationship you have with yourself sets the template for every other relationship in your life. If you do not treat yourself with respect, you will accept disrespect from others. If you do not trust your own judgment, you will look to others to make decisions for you. If you do not believe you deserve love, you will settle for connection that feels familiar rather than fulfilling. Learning to be your own best friend is not selfish, but strategic. It is the foundation that allows you to show up authentically in relationships rather than performing a version of yourself designed to please others. It is the security that enables you to love without attachment, to give without resentment, to receive without guilt. The love you have been seeking from others has been inside you all along. Not as a consolation prize for what you cannot find externally, but as the source from which all genuine love flows. When you learn to access this inner love, your relationships become expressions of wholeness rather than attempts to fill emptiness. Love is not something you earn through good behavior or lose through mistakes. It is not a limited resource that must be rationed carefully. It is not dependent on external circumstances or other people's approval. Love is the fundamental nature of reality, the force that holds all things together, the truth that exists beneath every illusion of separation. You're not a mistake walking around hoping to be corrected. You're not a problem in need of solving. You're not a work in progress that will only be acceptable when complete. You're a miracle disguised as an ordinary person, a unique expression of universal consciousness, a irreplaceable note in the symphony of existence. The night sky above you contains more stars than you could count in a lifetime. Each one burns with its own light, follows its own path, contributes its own radiance to the whole. No star tries to be another star. No star apologizes for its brightness or dims itself to make others comfortable. Each simply shines as it was created to shine. You are one of those stars. You have your own light to offer, your own contribution to make, your own unique way of illuminating the darkness. The world needs exactly who you are, not some improved version you think you should become. Your authenticity is your gift to the collective healing of humanity. The mask you wear to fit in serves no one. It deprives the world of your genuine gifts while exhausting you with the effort of maintaining a false persona. It protects you from the imagined danger of rejection, while guaranteeing the actual pain of disconnection from yourself and others. True belonging comes not from making yourself acceptable to others, but from accepting yourself so completely that external approval becomes irrelevant. When you know who you are and value what you offer, you attract relationships based on authentic connection rather than performing for love. The person you are becoming is not a stranger, but a homecoming. You are not creating a new self, but uncovering your original self. You are not fixing what is broken, but remembering what is whole. You are not learning to be worthy, but remembering that you always were. Deep in the Swiss Alps, where ancient wisdom meets modern understanding, a man spent his life exploring the hidden chambers of the human soul. He walked through the corridors of his own unconscious, mapping territories that psychology had never dared to explore. He discovered that we are far more than we appear to be on the surface, that beneath our conscious awareness lies a vast realm of possibility and power. This explorer of inner worlds understood that healing comes not from avoiding our darkness, but from learning to dance with it. He knew that the very qualities we try to hide or deny often contain the keys to our liberation. He saw that dreams are not random nonsense, but wisdom attempting to reach us through symbol and metaphor. Carl Jung, for that was his name, spent decades learning to listen to voices that others dismissed as imagination. He discovered that we are not isolated individuals, but part of a collective unconscious that connects all humanity. He found that the stories that move us most deeply are the ones that speak to universal patterns of growth, loss, death, and rebirth. Until you make the unconscious conscious, he wrote, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. These words point to the great work of healing, bringing awareness to the hidden forces that shape our choices, relationships, and experiences. What we do not own owns us. What we refuse to see sees us from the shadows. Jung understood that symptoms are not enemies to be defeated, but allies, attempting to restore balance. Depression might be the psyche's way of forcing a period of necessary introspection. Anxiety might be intuition trying to protect us from choices that violate our authentic nature. Anger might be self-respect attempting to establish healthy boundaries. Your visions become clear when you can look into your own heart, he observed. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. The answers you seek are not hidden in external circumstances, but in the depths of your own being. The healing you need is not something to be found, but something to be remembered. He knew that individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, requires the courage to disappoint others' expectations while remaining true to your own soul's calling. It demands that you reclaim projections, integrate your shadow, and learn to trust your inner guidance even when it leads you away from conventional paths. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, Jung wrote. This becoming is not a future achievement, but a present moment choice. In each decision to honour your authentic self over your adapted self, you move closer to wholeness. In each moment of choosing truth over comfort, you reclaim another piece of your soul. Jung's concept of the shadow, those aspects of ourselves we prefer not to acknowledge, is not about evil, but about completeness. Your shadow contains your disowned anger, your rejected neediness, your forbidden desires, your untamed wildness. It holds qualities you judge in others because you refuse to see them in yourself. The shadow also contains your hidden gold. Talents you were discouraged from developing, dreams you were taught to abandon, aspects of yourself you were told were inappropriate or unacceptable. Integrating your shadow is not about acting out every impulse, but about owning all parts of yourself with consciousness and choice. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, Jung warned, but by making the darkness conscious. The spiritual bypassing that avoids difficult emotions in favor of artificial positivity does not lead to genuine awakening. True enlightenment comes through embracing the full spectrum of human experience with awareness and compassion. Your dreams, Jung discovered, are not random but compensatory. They balance your conscious attitude by presenting perspectives and information your waking mind has overlooked or rejected. They show you what you need to see, rather than what you want to see. They are love letters from your unconscious, written in a language older than words. The recurring characters in your dreams often represent aspects of yourself that are seeking integration. The wise old woman might embody intuitive wisdom you have neglected. The dangerous man might represent assertiveness you have disowned. The lost child might be innocence and spontaneity crying out for attention and care. Everything that irritates us about others, Jung noted, can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Your strongest reactions to other people are often projections of your own disowned qualities. What you judge most harshly in others reveals what you judge most harshly in yourself. Your triggers are doorways to your healing. The individuation process Jung described is not about becoming selfish, but about becoming authentic. It is not about ignoring others' needs, but about meeting them from a place of genuine fullness rather than neurotic emptiness. When you know who you are, you can love others for who they are rather than expecting them to complete you. The most terrifying thing, Jung observed, is to accept oneself completely. This acceptance is not passive resignation but active embrace. It is the willingness to love yourself not despite your flaws, but including them. It is the recognition that your imperfections are not obstacles to wholeness, but essential aspects of your humanity. Jung knew that modern life's emphasis on external achievement often comes at the cost of inner development. The persona, the mask we wear to meet social expectations, can become so convincing that we forget it is not our true self. We begin to believe our own performance and lose touch with the authentic person beneath the role. The midlife crisis Jung identified is not a breakdown but a breakthrough attempting to happen. It is the soul's rebellion against a life that has become too small, too false, too disconnected from deeper purpose. It is the inner self demanding that you stop living someone else's idea of success and start honoring your own soul's calling. Your task is not to seek for love, Jung understood, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Love is not something external to be achieved, but something internal to be uncovered. Every wall you have built to protect yourself also prevents the very connection you crave. The wounded healer archetype that Jung explored recognizes that our deepest wounds, when consciously engaged, become sources of wisdom and compassion. The parts of yourself you're most ashamed of often contain gifts the world desperately needs. Your struggles prepare you to help others facing similar challenges with genuine understanding rather than theoretical knowledge. The meeting of two personalities, Jung wrote, is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Real relationship requires the willingness to be changed by encounter with others. It demands that you show up as you are rather than as you think you should be. Jung's work with active imagination, consciously engaging with unconscious contents through dialogue, art, and visualization, offers tools for healing that bypass the limitations of purely rational approaches. Sometimes healing happens not through analysis, but through allowing the unconscious to express itself creatively and symbolically. The synchronicities Jung studied, meaningful coincidences that seem to carry messages, point to an underlying order that connects all things. When you're aligned with your authentic path, the universe seems to conspire to support your journey. Doors open, resources appear. The right people show up at the right time. Who has not heard of shrinking violets, Jung asked, but who has heard of shrinking oak trees? You were not created to make yourself small to fit others' expectations. You were designed to grow into the fullest expression of your unique nature. Your growth serves not just yourself, but the collective evolution of consciousness. Jung's understanding of the transcendent function, the bridge between conscious and unconscious, points to healing that comes not from choosing sides, but from finding the creative third option that honors both. Instead of either or thinking, healing often requires both an awareness that embraces paradox. The conjunctio, the sacred marriage of opposites within the psyche, represents the goal of individuation. It is the integration of masculine and feminine principles, conscious and unconscious contents, light and shadow aspects of the self. This inner union is the foundation for authentic relationship with others. Jung knew that neurosis is not simply individual pathology, but often a healthy response to pathological circumstances. Depression might be appropriate when living a life that violates your authentic nature. Anxiety might be wisdom when facing choices that threaten your integrity. Your symptoms deserve respect as messengers of your soul's needs. The shoe that fits one person pinches another, Jung observed. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Your healing path will be unique to you. What works for others may not work for you. What heals you may not heal others. Trust your own process rather than trying to fit predetermined models of recovery. The collective unconscious Jung discovered means you are never truly alone in your struggles. The patterns you face have been faced by countless others throughout history. The archetypal energies you grapple with are universal human experiences. Your personal healing contributes to the healing of the whole. Jung's later work explored the reality of the psyche as existing beyond individual boundaries. Your inner work affects not just your own life, but ripples out through your relationships, your community, your generation. Every person who chooses consciousness over unconsciousness contributes to the evolution of human awareness. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, Jung understood, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. Healing often requires returning to the playful, creative spirit that approaches problems with curiosity rather than criticism, experimentation rather than rigid rules. The religious function of the psyche Jung identified is not about organized religion, but about the human need for meaning, purpose, connection to something greater than individual existence. This spiritual dimension of healing cannot be reduced to psychological technique, but must be honored as essential to wholeness. Jung's work with alchemy revealed that the ancient art of transformation was not primarily about turning lead into gold, but about the psychological process of turning unconscious contents into conscious wisdom. The laboratory was the soul. The gold was self-knowledge. The great work was individuation. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Your relationships are mirrors reflecting your own unintegrated contents. Instead of trying to change others, you can use your reactions as information about what needs attention within your own psyche. The autonomous nature of unconscious contents Jung discovered means that parts of your psyche have their own intelligence and agency. Symptoms, dreams, and complexes are not just personal creations, but semi-independent entities seeking relationship with consciousness. Healing happens through dialogue rather than domination. Jung's understanding of the self, the archetype of wholeness and the regulating center of the personality, provides hope that there is a deeper wisdom guiding your healing process. Even when your ego feels lost and confused, the self continues working toward integration and growth. Trust the process even when you cannot understand it. The word belief is a difficult thing for me, Jung admitted. I don't believe. I must have a reason for a certain hypothesis. Either I know a thing, and then I know it. I don't need to believe it. Your healing must be based on direct experience rather than accepted beliefs. What works for you is what you discover through living, not what others tell you should work. The compensatory nature of the unconscious Jung identified means that whatever consciousness neglects or rejects will be compensated for in dreams, symptoms, or life circumstances. If you deny your need for rest, your body may force rest through illness. If you reject your anger, it may emerge as depression or passive aggression. Jung's concept of amplification, understanding personal material through archetypal and cultural parallels, shows that your individual story connects to universal human themes. Your struggles with authority echo ancient conflicts between fathers and sons. Your relationship patterns mirror mythological tales of love and betrayal. The pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, Jung observed, not between right and wrong. Healing is not about finding the correct answer, but about developing the capacity to hold paradox, uncertainty, and complexity without premature closure. Wisdom embraces both reason and intuition. The Senex pure dynamic Jung explored, the tension between the wise old man and the eternal youth, plays out in your psyche as the conflict between responsibility and freedom, duty and desire, stability and adventure. Healing integrates both energies rather than choosing one over the other. Jung's work with mandalas, circular symbols representing wholeness, revealed that the psyche naturally creates images of unity and completion when given the opportunity. drawing, visualizing, or meditating on circular forms can facilitate healing by connecting you with your inherent wholeness. The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. This becoming is not a distant goal, but a present moment possibility. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, truth over comfort, courage over safety, you step more fully into who you were created to be. The night has been your companion in this journey toward yourself. In darkness, the usual distractions fall away, and essential truths become visible. The quiet allows you to hear whispers from your soul that are drowned out by daylight's demands. The solitude creates space for the inner work that cannot happen in the presence of others' expectations. You have travelled far tonight, not through external landscape, but through internal terrain. You have visited rooms in your psyche that have long been locked, opened windows that have been sealed, turned on lights in corridors that have been dark. This exploration is not complete, it never is, but something has shifted in your willingness to be present to your own experience. The morning will come, as it always does. The world will make its demands. The mask will feel familiar again. The temptation to return to old patterns will be strong, but something is different now. You carry within you the memory of this night's journey, the taste of authentic relationship with yourself, the seed of possibility that was planted in the dark soil of your awareness. Integration is the real work, taking what you have discovered in solitude and bringing it into relationship, allowing what you have remembered about yourself to influence how you show up in the world, letting the compassion you have found for your own struggles extend to others who are fighting battles you cannot see. You are not the same person who began this journey. Something has awakened that cannot easily return to sleep. Some door has opened that cannot be completely closed. Some truth has been recognized that cannot be entirely forgotten. This is how healing happens, not all at once, but seed by seed, breath by breath, choice by choice. The path toward wholeness is not a destination, but a way of traveling. It is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. It is not a test to be passed, but a gift to be received. You are both the journey and the traveller, both the question and the answer, both the wound and the healing. Trust the process that is working within you even when you cannot see its full design. Trust the wisdom that speaks through your intuition, even when it contradicts conventional advice. Trust the love that exists at your core even when surface emotions suggest otherwise. You're more resilient, more beautiful, more whole than you have been taught to believe. The night belongs to truth, and you have claimed your birthright. In choosing to turn toward yourself with curiosity rather than criticism, with compassion rather than judgment, with courage rather than avoidance, you have honoured the sacred work of becoming human. This is the real heroism, not conquering external enemies but befriending internal allies. Sleep well, knowing that you're exactly where you need to be in your journey. Rest deeply, trusting that healing continues even when you're not actively working at it. Dream sweetly, allowing your unconscious wisdom to integrate today's insights into tomorrow's possibilities. You're held by forces greater than your understanding and loved beyond your ability to comprehend. The morning will bring new opportunities to practice what you've remembered tonight. New chances to choose authenticity over approval, truth over comfort, courage over conformity. New invitations to extend to yourself the same kindness you offer to others, to trust your own experience, to honour your own journey. You carry within you everything you need for the healing you seek, not as potential to be developed, but as reality to be uncovered, not as future possibility, but as present truth. You are not broken and in need of fixing, but whole and in need of remembering. The light you seek shines from within you, has always been shining, will never be extinguished. This is not the end, but a beginning. Each night offers the same invitation to return home to yourself. Each moment of darkness provides opportunity to remember what daylight helps you forget. Each time you choose to listen to your inner voice, rather than external demands, you strengthen the connection to your authentic self. The hero's journey you're living does not end with a single victory, but continues with each choice to face life with an open heart, rather than closed defenses. Every time you choose vulnerability over invulnerability, connection over protection, growth over safety, you take another step toward the person you were created to be. Your story is not finished. The chapters you have written so far, including the ones filled with pain, confusion and struggle, have all been necessary preparation for what comes next. Nothing has been wasted. No experience has been without purpose. Every joy and every sorrow has been carving you into the unique vessel you're becoming. The love you discovered for yourself tonight is not dependent on your circumstances remaining the same. It is not conditional on your continued progress or your avoiding future mistakes. It is not something you can lose through imperfection or earn through achievement. It simply is, as you simply are, beyond all conditions and qualifications. You have been carrying a light that never goes out, though sometimes the clouds of circumstance make it difficult to see. You have been walking a path that leads toward home, though sometimes the way seems unclear and the destination uncertain. You have been loved beyond measure since before you took your first breath, though sometimes the world's harshness makes this truth hard to remember. Tonight you have remembered. Tomorrow you may forget and need to remember again. This is not failure, but the natural rhythm of awakening. Consciousness is not an achievement to be maintained, but a gift to be received anew each moment it is offered. Healing is not a final destination, but a daily practice of returning to truth when you notice you have strayed. The wounded places in your heart are not scars to be hidden, but sacred grounds to be tended. They mark where life has touched you deeply enough to change you. They are proof of your capacity to survive what seemed impossible, to love what threatened to make you hard, to remain open when everything encouraged you to close. Your sensitivity is not weakness, but strength refined by fire. Your depth is not darkness, but light refracted through the prism of experience. Your questioning is not doubt, but wisdom seeking fuller understanding. The very qualities that make you feel different are often the ones the world most needs you to share. The child within you who learned to hide is safe to emerge now. The dreams you were taught to abandon are worthy of your adult attention. The voice you were told to silence carries messages that only you can deliver. The gifts you were discouraged from developing are still alive within you, waiting for permission to flourish. You do not need to wait for perfect conditions to begin living authentically. You do not need to heal completely before you start showing up as you are. You do not need to understand everything before you trust your inner guidance. Life is not a dress rehearsal for some future performance, but the actual play, happening now, requiring your full presence. The masks you have worn serve their purpose in helping you survive circumstances that demanded adaptation. But survival strategies that once protected you may now be limiting your growth. What kept you safe as a child may be keeping you small as an adult. The time has come to gently release what no longer serves and embrace what calls you forward. Your wounds have taught you empathy. Your struggles have developed your strength. Your confusion has deepened your appreciation for clarity. Your darkness has shown you the value of a light. Nothing in your experience has been meaningless. Every difficulty has been preparation for some future service only you can provide. The path of individuation Jung described is not about becoming someone different, but about becoming more fully who you already are beneath all the conditioning, expectations, and adaptive strategies. It is about stripping away what is false to reveal what is true, releasing what is borrowed to claim what is originally yours. The most important question anyone can ask is, what myth am I living? Jung posed this challenge to help people recognize the unconscious stories that shape their choices. Are you living the myth of the victim who has no power? The martyr who gains worth through suffering? The hero who must save everyone? Or are you ready to write a new story based on your authentic nature? Your personal myth is not something imposed from outside, but something that emerges from within when you pay attention to what truly energizes you, what naturally flows through you, what feels like coming home rather than going to work. This authentic path may not match others' expectations, but it will match your soul's calling. The collective unconscious means that your healing contributes to the healing of all humanity. Every person who chooses consciousness over unconsciousness, love over fear, authenticity over adaptation, makes it easier for others to make the same choice. Your individual journey toward wholeness serves the evolution of human consciousness. You're not alone in this work. Across time and space, others have walked similar paths of awakening. Their courage blazed trails you can follow. Their wisdom whispers guidance you can hear. Their love surrounds you like an invisible fellowship of souls who understand the sacred work of becoming human. The synchronicities that appear when you align with your authentic path are not coincidences but confirmations that you are moving in harmony with larger forces. When you trust your deepest knowing and act from that place, the universe seems to conspire to support your journey. Resources appear, doors open, the right people arrive at the right time. Your dreams will continue to offer guidance, though their language may remain mysterious. Trust that your unconscious wisdom knows what your conscious mind cannot yet understand. Pay attention to recurring themes, symbols, and emotions. Notice what energizes you and what drains you in your dream life as well as your waking life. The integration of opposites Jung emphasized as essential to individuation continues throughout life. You're both strong and vulnerable, wise and confused, independent and interdependent, serious and playful. Wholeness comes not from choosing one side, but from embracing the full spectrum of your humanity, with consciousness and compassion. Your body carries wisdom that your mind has not yet recognized. The tension in your shoulders may be unexpressed anger. The pain in your heart may be grief that needs acknowledgement. The fatigue in your bones may be your soul's request for rest and reflection. Listen to these somatic messages with the same respect you give to mental insights. The relationships in your life are mirrors reflecting different aspects of your psyche. What you admire in others reveals your own potential. What triggers you in others points to your own unhealed places. What you cannot tolerate in others often indicates what you cannot yet accept in yourself. Use these reflections as information for your own growth rather than evidence for others' flaws. Your creative expression, whether through art, music, writing, cooking, gardening, or any other medium, is not luxury but necessity. It is how your soul speaks when words are inadequate. It is how your unconscious communicates what consciousness cannot yet articulate. Make space for this expression even if, especially if, you believe you are not talented enough. The midlife transitions Jung studied intensively remind us that human development does not end with physical maturity. The second half of life calls for different priorities than the first. If the first half is about building an ego strong enough to function in the world, the second half is about relativizing that ego in service of something greater. But transformation can happen at any age. Whether you're 20 or 70, your soul may be calling you to move beyond the limits you have accepted, to explore possibilities you have not considered, to become more than you have dared to imagine. Age is not a barrier to growth, but an accumulation of resources for deeper development. The persona you present to the world, your professional identity, your social role, your public personality, is necessary for functioning in society, but should not be mistaken for your complete self. Behind every persona lives a more complex, contradictory, mysterious person who cannot be reduced to a job title or social status. Learning to differentiate between your persona and your authentic self allows you to wear your roles lightly, rather than being imprisoned by them. You can fulfill your responsibilities without losing your soul, meet others' expectations without betraying your own truth, participate in society without sacrificing your individuality. The shadow work Jung pioneered continues throughout life, because consciousness is always partial, and new situations reveal previously hidden aspects of yourself. What you thought you had integrated may resurface in unexpected ways. What you believed you had healed may require attention at deeper levels. This is not regression, but the spiral nature of growth. Your anger, when consciously held, becomes discernment and healthy boundaries. Your sadness, when fully felt, becomes compassion and emotional depth. Your fear, when honestly acknowledged, becomes wisdom and appropriate caution. Your sexuality, when integrated, becomes creative life force. Your aggression, when channeled, becomes assertiveness and the power to manifest your vision. The feminine principle within you, regardless of your gender, carries receptivity, intuition, the capacity to be with what is without immediately trying to change it. The masculine principle within you carries focus, direction, the ability to move toward goals and create structure. Healing requires the marriage of these principles rather than the dominance of one over the other. Your relationship with time affects your relationship with healing. Linear time says that healing should progress from problem to solution, from sick to well, from broken to fixed. But psychological time is cyclical, spiral, non-linear. You may need to revisit the same issues multiple times at different levels of depth and understanding. The seasons of your inner life follow their own rhythm independent of calendar time. You may experience inner winter in the middle of summer, inner spring during chronological autumn. Honor these natural cycles rather than forcing yourself to feel what you think you should feel based on external circumstances. Your relationship with death, literal death and the many smaller deaths that mark transitions throughout life, influences your capacity to embrace transformation. Every change requires letting go of who you have been to become who you are becoming. Every growth demands the death of old identities, beliefs, and ways of being. The parts of yourself you have rejected or disowned do not disappear, but continue to operate unconsciously, often in ways that sabotage your conscious intentions. Reclaiming these split-off aspects of yourself restores energy and wholeness, while reducing internal conflict and self-sabotage. Your inner critic, while often harsh and unhelpful, originally developed to protect you from rejection, failure, or harm. Learning to dialogue with this voice rather than being dominated by it allows you to benefit from its protective function while not being limited by its fearful perspective. The transcendent function Jung described, the bridge between conscious and unconscious, operates through symbols, art, active imagination, and dreams. These non-rational ways of knowing complement logical analysis and provide access to wisdom that cannot be reached through thinking alone. Your symptoms, physical, emotional, behavioral, often carry messages about what needs attention in your life. Instead of immediately trying to eliminate discomfort, consider what information it might contain. What is your anxiety trying to protect? What is your depression trying to communicate? What is your body trying to tell you? The collective shadow of your culture, family, and generation lives within your personal unconscious and influences your individual psychology. Becoming conscious of these inherited patterns allows you to choose which aspects to carry forward and which to transform or release. Your spiritual life, whatever form it takes, is not separate from your psychological life, but intimately connected to it. The search for meaning, purpose, and connection to something greater than individual existence is a fundamental human need that affects mental and emotional well-being. The numinous experiences Jung studied, moments of encounter with the sacred, the mysterious, the transcendent, can happen anywhere and provide direct knowing that cannot be reduced to rational explanation. These experiences often catalyze significant psychological and spiritual growth. Your relationship with authority reflects your relationship with your own inner authority. If you rebel against all external authority, you may be avoiding responsibility for your own choices. If you submit to external authority without question, you may be abandoning your own inner wisdom. The compensation principle means that whatever you overemphasize in consciousness will be balanced by its opposite in the unconscious. If you're overly positive, you may dream of darkness. If you're overly controlled, you may have fantasies of wildness. If you're overly independent, you may crave dependence. Your relationship patterns often repeat unconscious family dynamics or archetypal themes until consciousness brings choice to what was previously automatic. Becoming aware of these patterns allows you to respond rather than react, to choose rather than be driven by unconscious forces. The active imagination techniques Jung developed, consciously engaging with unconscious contents through dialogue, visualization, art, or movement, provide practical tools for ongoing psychological and spiritual development. These practices make the unconscious accessible without requiring professional intervention. Your life has its own intelligence that cannot be reduced to your conscious planning and effort. Sometimes the path forward becomes clear only in retrospect. Sometimes what seems like failure or delay is actually necessary preparation for future opportunities that could not have been foreseen. The individuation process is not about becoming independent of others, but about becoming interdependent from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. When you know who you are, you can love others for who they are rather than for how they make you feel about yourself. Your cultural background provides both resources and limitations for your development. Honoring what serves your growth, while releasing what restricts your becoming, allows you to benefit from your heritage without being imprisoned by it. The religious symbols and stories that resonate with you, whether from traditional religions, mythology, or contemporary sources, often point to archetypal energies that are active in your psyche. These symbols can serve as bridges between conscious and unconscious, rational and spiritual. Your relationship with money reflects deeper attitudes about worth, security, power, and freedom. Healing your relationship with money often requires addressing underlying beliefs about deserving, abundance, and what constitutes true wealth. The house you live in, the car you drive, the clothes you wear all carry psychological meaning beyond their practical function. They reflect and reinforce your identity, your values, your relationship with the world. Paying attention to these choices provides insight into your unconscious attitudes and aspirations. Your relationship with food carries emotional, cultural, and spiritual significance that extends far beyond nutrition. How you eat, what you eat, when you eat, often reflects your relationship with self-care, pleasure, control, and nurturance. The work you choose to do, whether paid employment or unpaid service, expresses something essential about your identity and values. When your work aligns with your authentic nature, it becomes a vehicle for self-expression and contribution, rather than merely a means of survival. Your relationship with nature reflects your relationship with your own natural rhythms, instincts, and cycles. Time spent in natural settings often restores psychological balance and provides perspective that is difficult to maintain in purely human-created environments. The books you read, the music you listen to, the art that moves you all provide information about your soul's current needs and interests. Pay attention to what draws you, what repels you, what leaves you feeling expanded or contracted. Your relationship with technology affects your psychological well-being in ways that are still being understood. Conscious choice about how you engage with digital devices and online environments can support rather than undermine your inner development. The people you choose to spend time with influence your psychological state more than you might realize. Surrounding yourself with people who support your authentic self rather than your adapted self creates an environment conducive to continued growth and healing. Your relationship with aging reflects deeper attitudes about time, mortality, meaning, and what constitutes a life well lived. Embracing the developmental opportunities of each life stage while releasing inappropriate attachments to earlier phases supports psychological maturity. The stories you tell about your life, to yourself and others, shape your identity and your possibilities. Becoming conscious of these narratives allows you to edit them in ways that serve your growth rather than limiting your potential. Your dreams of the future often contain seeds of possibility that can be cultivated through conscious attention and effort. But attachment to specific outcomes can prevent you from recognizing opportunities that don't match your expectations exactly. The regrets you carry about the past often contain information about values and priorities that may still be relevant to your current choices. What you wish you had done differently can inform what you choose to do now. Your relationship with solitude affects your capacity for self-knowledge and inner development. Regular time alone, without entertainment or distraction, allows your authentic self to emerge from beneath the layers of social adaptation and external demands. The pace at which you live your life influences your psychological well-being more than the specific activities you engage in. A pace that allows for reflection, integration, and appreciation supports mental and emotional health, while a pace that demands constant rushing undermines well-being. Your relationship with pleasure reflects deeper attitudes about deserving, self-care, and what makes life worth living. Learning to receive joy without guilt or attachment supports a balanced relationship with life's gifts. The way you handle conflict within yourself and with others reveals important information about your psychological development. Learning to engage with disagreement constructively rather than avoiding it or escalating it represents significant emotional maturity. Your relationship with mystery and the unknown affects your capacity for psychological growth. Comfort with uncertainty and paradox allows for continued development, while the need to have everything figured out tends to limit possibilities for transformation. The ending approaches not because the journey toward wholeness is complete, but because the night's particular invitation has been received. You have spent these hours in intimate conversation with yourself, exploring territories of your psyche that daylight rarely illuminates, remembering truths that external noise often drowns out. Something has shifted in your willingness to be present to your own experience. Some wall has been dissolved between who you think you should be and who you actually are. Some door is open to a way of being with yourself that includes compassion for your struggles, respect for your journey, and trust in your inherent wisdom. The morning will test this new relationship with yourself. The world will offer countless opportunities to abandon what you have remembered in favor of what others expect. The old patterns will feel familiar and safe compared to the uncertainty of authentic living. But you carry within you now the memory of this night's encounter with truth. You have tasted the peace that comes from accepting yourself completely. You have felt the relief of releasing the need to be perfect. You have experienced the freedom that emerges when you stop trying to be someone else. This is not the end of your healing journey, but a beginning. Each time you choose to turn toward yourself with curiosity rather than criticism, you deepen the capacity for self-compassion. Each moment you honor your authentic feelings rather than performing appropriate ones, you strengthen your connection to truth. The work continues in small choices made throughout ordinary days, in saying no when yes would be easier but dishonest, in speaking truth when silence would be safer but inauthentic, in feeling your feelings rather than thinking your way around them, in trusting your body's wisdom rather than overriding it with your mind's demands. You're not the same person who began this night's journey. Something has been planted in the fertile darkness of your awareness that will continue growing long after the sun rises. Some seed of possibility has been watered by your willingness to be present to what is, rather than insisting on what should be. Sleep now, knowing that you are held by forces greater than your understanding, and loved beyond your capacity to comprehend. Rest deeply, trusting that the healing work continues even when you're not consciously directing it. Dream sweetly, allowing your unconscious wisdom to integrate tonight's insights into tomorrow's possibilities. The night has been your ally in remembering what you always knew, but sometimes forget. You are whole already. You are loved unconditionally. You are worthy of respect, care, and kindness, especially from yourself. You carry within you everything needed for whatever healing seeks to emerge. Tomorrow offers fresh opportunities to practice what you have remembered tonight. New chances to choose authenticity over approval, courage over comfort, truth over convenience. New invitations to extend to yourself the same understanding you offer to others, to trust your own experience, to honor your unique path. You're exactly where you need to be in your journey. Every experience has been necessary preparation for this moment of recognition. Every struggle has carved space in your heart for greater compassion. Every confusion has deepened your appreciation for clarity when it comes. The light that shines from within you cannot be extinguished by external circumstances. The love that exists at your core cannot be destroyed by others' inability to see it. The wisdom that speaks through your intuition cannot be invalidated by those who prefer different ways of knowing. Rest well, beautiful soul. You have done sacred work tonight in choosing to come home to yourself. You have honored the ancient calling to know yourself, to love yourself, to be yourself without apology or reservation. This is the deepest healing, the most important journey, the greatest gift you can offer to a world that desperately needs your authentic presence. The night whispers its final blessing. You are enough. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. Not because of what you achieve or avoid, but because of who you are in the depths of your being. Sleep now in this knowing. Wake tomorrow in this truth. Live always from this place of inherent worth and irreplaceable value. The stars above witness your commitment to healing. The earth below supports your journey toward wholeness. The space between holds you in perfect love as you rest in the truth of who you are. All is well. All is exactly as it needs to be. You are home.